Welcome to the Dorky Readings and Bloopers, featuring Blood Phoenix Rebirth, first book of the Broken World series. Chapter 13. Movement ceased, and I sat in Bowden's arms as if we stood still. Bowden's face was clear beside mine, although everything else changed into a gray backdrop. His features lost that original scariness, maybe because he saved me from that freak, Felix, or the glamour, or just maybe we'd become friends. Determination lined the features of his face, and his red hair flew back and forth against his forehead with each turn, but it never reached the gold in his eyes. He had a smooth, square jaw and beautiful, thick lips. I wanted nothing more than to run my fingers over them, but the thought embarrassed me. Instead, my fingers embraced the side of his face by his ear, and the skin so soft I doubt facial hair ever grew there. Bowden smiled and looked at me briefly. I tucked my face into the side of his neck and held on to him to keep myself from pressing my mouth to his. Really, though, I didn't need to hold on. Bowden carried me as if I were a sack of feathers. As suddenly as we had started moving, we stopped, and lack of momentum didn't jar me like it should have. He set me on a large, soft mound normally found in a forest floor. Bowden bustled around the decently sized treehouse, filled with a large hammock hanging from the limbs separating the room. Smaller hammocks littered the tree branch, and trinkets hung all over the walls and ceiling. Bowden touched 7 of the trinkets, which flared, glowed, and grew dark again. "Is this where you live?" "You think I live in Treehouse." A lightness in his voice kept me from being too embarrassed. "Well, you're a type of fairy, right?" He laughed, touched a few more trinkets, and came to kneel beside me. "We are in Harriman State Park, outside your city. It's safe for fairies that not all know about. Only 3 vampires know. You are one now. It's hidden by magical charms." Bowden pointed to the trinkets on the walls. "Certain combinations make safe." He smiled down at me and looked beautiful. Glad he didn't try to be scary anymore. I leaned up to press my mouth to his. His lips were soft, and he kissed me with supple and savory movements. No longer an overwhelmingly sexual need, a lingering desire remained that I couldn't quench. He still tasted like cigars and whiskey, but the real flavor of him hid beneath it. Marshmallows. A strange but pleasant mixture. He opened to me and gently slipped his tongue over my retracted fangs, making them ache. I fought for them not to extend, but failed, nipping both of our lips. Blood fell over our tongues, and he moaned, a sweet, delicate, and desperate sound that made my abdomen clench. Bowden's fingers crawled into my hair and tugged it roughly, making me tremble in his grasp. He abruptly pulled away, his hand still tightly latched in my hair. It has been a very long time since woman kissed me by her own free will. I sat back, and his fingers fell to his lap. "Huh?" "Glamour, I do not feel from you. Do you feel?" I still felt him like when I hid him from Felix, but the connection dulled. A horrible emotion fell over me. The awful notion that I cheated on James. Ridiculous, but they're just the same. James had already been claimed. Felix said that Faya, the queen and master vampire, owned him. I didn't compare to her. So what did it matter if I got friendly with the leprechaun that saved me? Looking at him again, I smiled shyly. The awkwardness returned, and it must have shown because Bowden smiled wickedly. "I could glamour you." "No." I jerked back, praying he wouldn't turn scary. "Maybe I do anyway." He leaned forward, towering over me, and pinned my arms at my sides. Frowning, I lashed at him, struggling in his grip as I had with Felix. Would God listen to a praying vampire? That would be a form of rape. "You use such ugly word. You have such pretty mouth." He grabbed a handful of red curls, and I closed my eyes. If I kept them closed, he couldn't glamour me. At least, that's what I hoped. His breath fell in short, panting waves, and I thought of campfires with roasted marshmallows and songs and drinking. Ugly word or not, that's what it would be. You'd be forcing me. My voice shook, and I hated that he scared me. Bowden pulled me closer to him roughly, causing his lips to touch mine. The weight of his body pressed, his hardness against my thigh. That intimate touch made my body yearn to respond, but I forced myself motionless. Then he let me go, and I fell back to the spongy mound. I kept my eyes closed because I didn't want to risk being glamoured again, but he retreated. I peeked through the black haze of my lashes. He sat back on his heels, hands folded in his lap, shoulders sagged and chin hung. Sitting up gained his attention, but he barely moved. My apologies. It's been a very long time for me. I sympathized with him, but wasn't fooled. He always had the potential to be a scary guy. You'll be good? I will be good. Okay then. Standing, stiffness and tension filled out my limbs. Vampires get aches and pains? Sore? Seriously, could leprechauns read minds? Maybe? A side effect of glamour. My blood make worse. I am sorry for that, but was only way to give you strength at the time. I stretched with my arms overhead, and my muscles burned along the length of my body. None of the tension eased. Every bit of warmth I gave my muscles got sucked away by the ever-persistent black hole in my center. I know. It's all good. I can manage. Hungry again yet? Dude, that mind-reading thing you're doing is majorly creepy. I am not reading your mind. I feel about you. Bowden watched me move around the house. He stood gigantic next to me. Come, and I will take you to feed. Retreating, I hugged myself and tried to will my hunger to go away. I didn't need to feed again. I can't. Why do you fear to feed? His hand spilled over my shoulder. I shivered and peered up to him. His features became childlike. You are a predator. No need to be afraid. You are hard to hurt. I'm afraid of killing, not of getting hurt. Vampire with conscience? You are a strange creature, girl. Yeah, apparently. Even though I had a normal childhood and whatever, I had always been strange. Not half Phoenix I have powers strange, but the odd man out or odd girl out or whatever. Of course, James hadn't helped. Bowden grabbed my hand and startled me. Come, girl. I teach you when to stop. Chapter 13. Chapter 13. Stock much?